Namaste and hello. Welcome to SONAS, South Asia Nadi Sambad. SONAS aims to promote dialogue and sharing of perspectives among sectors, disciplines, geographic regions, and among generations about South Asian water challenges. We believe in wholeness of the hydrological cycle as a foundation to make rivers clean for people and freshwater biodiversity. Every week, we will present our water champions' written perspective and conversation on ideas towards sustainable water solutions. I am your host Ajay Dikshit. You can find us on Twitter at Nadi Sambad. These episodes will also be available in other podcast platforms. Please enjoy the conversation. Welcome and namaskar again. In this episode, Mr. Pallab Raj Nepal reflects on his works in providing water and sanitation services to rural communities in the hills of Nepal's Sudur Paschim Pradesh. Mr. Nepal, tell us about your work in providing water and sanitation services to rural communities.
I joined RBW Nepal Finland cooperation project, and I saw the massive use of multi-use water supply system, community managed integrated water resources management project.
So essentially you started with working with the community-based drinking water systems.
Yes.
They were stand-alone systems, mean they just provided drinking water and sanitation services.
Yes.
As you moved to Nepal, Finland, European Union project, then it was not just drinking water and sanitation, but multiple use systems where other uses were also brought in.
Yes.
What are the other uses?
The small irrigation component. This, water supply systems in their, design software also, like 15 to 20 liters per capita water are inbuilt in the system to use for irrigation and cattle watering.
You make additional provision of water in the design.
Yes, in the Nepal standard, the 45 to 60 liter water should be there per day. This system includes even 15 liter more, water for those purpose.
You have more water in the system, and that water can be used for drinking as well as for small scale irrigation as well as for cattle. So is this MUS is a common practice now in the areas that you work?
Yes, nowadays in RBW we already practice 160 these MUS schemes, which is really giving a kind of significant impact at the community level. They are getting more nutrition in their plates, in their supper.
With this additional water, they use for irrigating, say, their kitchen garden.
Yes, kitchen garden, and some of the communities where water resources are available, they are tapping from the overflow water to their advanced level farming, like vegetable farming, which are sold in the market. In hill area, water resources for irrigation and drinking are the same. So those water resources which can be used for drinking water purpose, and the same water can be used for irrigation. Like in Tarai, the irrigated water resources like from river cannot be used for drinking water purpose.
Because of low quality.
Yes, that's why in hill area, I felt that these water resources can be compatible with the same system for drinking water and the irrigation. And this can be jointly designed as a MUS schemes.
How did the local community find the MUS system? They find it beneficial, they like it, they don't like it?
It is actually depend on the location of community. If it is very far from the marketplace, it can be only used for kitchen garden but not for the business purpose. Marketplace nearby the community, it is highly demanding to uplift their livelihood.
They see the benefit. If they are close to the market, they see the benefit of drinking water system, extra water that could be used for irrigating certain vegetables which they could sell in the market.
Yes, I also recommend that before constructing those kind of schemes, MUS schemes cost more than the standalone water supply schemes. So it is better to kind of business development plan, and if they find some kind of opportunities there, and if those schemes are getting a high economic benefit, then it is good to invest on MUS schemes rather than just standalone water supply scheme.
From your experience in communities that have built these MUS systems, taken some benefit, assuming they are close to the market, they sell the vegetables in the market and benefit, do they put some portion of their benefit or income in operating and maintaining the systems?
Yes, another opportunity that I saw in the community that they are mobilizing credits through the cooperatives. Nowadays, cooperatives are also interested to take operation and management part of those water supply schemes as well, and they are encouraging to get affiliation with those cooperatives.
What is your experience in terms of how local communities operate and maintain the system that's been built?
Water users committees are not actually capable enough to manage their operation and repair and actually maintenance part. If we see the quality of the schemes, it is very good quality due to their voluntary work actually after the construction of water supply schemes. They are not actually motivated to work always in a voluntary basis. I think it is due to the small area of households, very low level of fund raised for the operation and maintenance, which is not actually sufficient to mobilize caretakers, to mobilize other managements.
Buy maybe the damaged parts.
Yes. And another thing is these communities are very far from the marketplace. You want to buy, taps or very small parts of taps. It costs high to come to the marketplace and buy it, go there. And another thing is the complaint and redress mechanism. Where to complain? Who will go there? These kind of things. And if there is the, big, schemes, then there can be a kind of big volume of budget.
So from your experience, it is the scale of the project when it is small, when it is away from the marketplaces, you don't raise enough fund, so you don't have the manpower to perhaps look at the operation and maintenance parts. You don't get parts. Those institutional challenges are very, very real.
And during my study, actually, I read some of the literatures. In that literature, I found the good model in Finland, which is called the water cooperatives. And we also thought that, okay, if cooperative will manage many schemes with a single unit, can be one options.
Single institutional unit, and the management of these different schemes would be under one institution, which you suggest would be a cooperative.
Yes, because cooperatives have paid staff and their collectors are mobilizing the fund through household visits.
Is it something that you are piloting, trying, or it's just an idea at the moment?
We started in Bajang district, Phalara rural municipality. There are 7 water supply schemes which are tied with one cooperative. These schemes are MUS scheme as well. Some of the schemes are private tap connection. So they have more opportunity to mobilize water and generate more profit from the vegetables, depositing their operation and maintenance fund to cooperatives, and cooperatives are mobilizing their staff to collect tariffs. They already have plan to manage supply chain of tools and equipments and other seed for vegetables. Market is getting nearer to the community.
So how long this particular pilot is going on?
It has been discussed for a year. They already started to affiliate with cooperatives, and now agreement were done with those water supply schemes 2 months ago.
Tell us about the whole idea of reusing water.
It is the compatible to 3 type of water in the same system. Tapping the overflow water is one. Private tap connections, now they are practicing the grey water networking. From the different households, they channel water in the communal type of this irrigation pond and they irrigate from there. So this is the reuse of water. And another thing is managing the rainwater also in those ponds. In hill area, water for irrigation is one of the major challenge because all the rivers are in the downstream and communities are up in the slopes. And getting the river water to those lands is very difficult. Spring water should be managed very ideally so that every lands can be irrigated from the very small, the micro irrigation technology or traditional canal irrigation.
People talk about spring sources that are depleting. What is your experience about springs in the hills?
We are also receiving comments from the community that their sources are getting low. In our design also, we already practicing plantation in the surrounding of these water resources and digging pits in the uphill. We have not done any kind of detailed analysis how much water has been increased in which water resource point, because we don't know, even community also don't know about.
Now, what do the farmers or the local community say about depleting springs? What do they say about depleting springs? What reasons do they cite?
Most of the community argue that this is due to the depletion of forest. That's why we are also integrating improved cooking stove in all our communities to increase the efficiency of firewood, to reduce the consumption of firewood from the forest.
How is it going on in the field, this approach of yours?
Our practice of this water supply sanitation project as a not wash but wash and, that means with nutrition. If we say wash and, then it needs a kind of adding some components of nutrition, which is can be the reuse of water. Actually, after this federalism, political restructuring of Nepal, local government, let's say, they are also advocating this kind of MOOS type of schemes. They already, demanded that whatever standalone water supply schemes that they already built, now they want to share their investment to upgrade those schemes and integrate that irrigation component to them.
This would be most of the rural municipalities in the Sudur Pachim area where you work. What's your experience of working with the local governments? How involved are they in these kind of programs that you implement? Are they partners in your program, or they you kind of design yourself and you go to them?
Actually, not only the partners, they are implementer of this project. They already have on this water use master plan and a livelihood implementation plan, priority list of water supply schemes and MOOS schemes, many other activities.
Could you tell us a little bit about what is Water Users Master Plan? What is this WAMP?
I would say this is a kind of inventory of water resources available within the political boundary of a rural municipality. Actually, this concept was started by WAMP Helvetas in Nepal around 2006, I think. At that time, it has a very small territory. After this restructuring of Nepal, now it has the bigger territory, and on that ground they already have approved this water use master plan as a guideline to implement all these schemes.
So these schemes would be, as we talked about, drinking water, sanitation, small irrigation, nutrition, conservation of sources, perhaps, etc.
Yes, water use master plan is a kind of guidance document for them, which is also applicable to minimize the conflict. There is a kind of barrier of getting those schemes only by the elite people, because the priority come from the vulnerable community.
What is the way you ensure that the questions such as social inclusion and gender inclusion are included in the program? What about the community? The community also are involved?
Yes, in the initial stage, there are some of the activities which are like confident building workshops. Those workshops should be conducted with women, vulnerable, disadvantaged people, and mixed community.
Who identifies who is vulnerable, who is disadvantaged?
During the water resource, this household survey, our field team identify according to their service level of drinking water and also the economic status. The main point is the service level that they are using for the drinking water purpose. All the water sources are measured and make an inventory with current use, potential use also. And all the schemes which are potentially used for like water supply and irrigation or MOOS, they are prioritized according to the its potentiality as well as with the vulnerability of community. That documents are approved by the RM Council and it is a kind of legal document. And none of the schemes are implemented before the previous priority. Whoever implement the schemes, that should be in the priority list. As a institutional development part, we had been discussing from the very long period, but now every rural municipalities have agreed and established WAS management board at their RM office. So now all the water supply schemes, including MOOS, are going to register in the WAS management board. This process will be facilitated by RMs. They will be responsible to get any kind of comments, feedbacks. They are also accountable to address those issues, including operation and maintenance part, which are beyond the community capacity.
You are part of a government of Nepal, Finland partnership. You're not going to be there all the time. How do you see the idea of WOMP and whatever you are doing being continued by the rural municipalities even after you move out?
I am confident on that because water board is already established with their directives and all inventories will be handled by the WAS board. Those water supply schemes which are vulnerable or washed by the landslides, the complaint will be registered in the established unit, verified by the WAS unit of RMs. This is a permanent type of institutions already established in the rural municipality level. So after the projects, that directives is there and they continue to follow all these steps.
So, do you think this approach of yours, all the rural municipalities in Nepal could follow or adapt or change or improve upon?
I hope so because after this development, Department of Local Infrastructure and Department of WAS already have signed the MOU and Ministry of Water Supply Sanitation they already have developed NWAS application, which is a system of getting inventory of water supply schemes and regular monitoring. This MOU that will be replicated by Department of Water Supply Sanitation to other RMs because these are the government institutions and good learnings can be replicated in other RMs.
How are you sharing your learning with other stakeholders?
Somehow we are sharing, but I feel that it is not actually sufficient because many platforms are at the federal level and our even head office is in Dadeldura.
Thank you, Mr. Nepal, for sharing with us your perspectives about local level challenges involved in improving water and sanitation services to rural households in hills of Nepal. In the next episode, Dr. Bratindi Jana, Associate Director, ActionAid Association India, discusses how degradation of water commons threatens marginal communities depending on them for survival.
Nature never thought of putting a barrier. Like now the sky is blue and sky has no boundary except those flights, how they move and all that route, something different. But we don't see any barricades. At one point of time, even rivers were flowing like that without any restrictions, without any bonding, dams. It never belonged to Nepal or India or Bangladesh. So it was something, what we are advocating, free flowing.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We warmly welcome your suggestions for improving SONAS and our conversations. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have enjoyed the conversation. Till then, have a nice time and Jai Hos.